Welcome again to License Research. Today we have a case of backstabbers. Let's see. Mr. Passport, why are you demanding Mr. Phileas Fogg today?
Well, Your Honor, the reason that I'm accusing this man over here is because he committed a serious crime that should be punished for the eternity. He murdered his wife and the gardener on the same day. How could a man do this? I thought that I was working for an honest gentleman, but he's a monster.
Mr. Phileas Fogg, do you have anything to say about your part in this case?
Of course I have to say something. Your Honor, it all started some months ago when it came to my attention that my wife was having an affair with the gardener, a dear friend of my servant here, Passepartout. He says that I killed them, which I did not do, because I loved my wife very much. She was everything for me. And the fact that you say that I killed my own wife, the love of my life, is just horrendous.
Because you did.
I did.
You did.
Order. Today, we have also their lawyers, their representatives. So, Mr. Passepartout, that represented, please tell us what are you asking in this demand?
First of all, welcome to everybody here. So, Judge, I want to offer that my client handled his witness. What did he say? He mentioned that Miss Phileas Fogg killed his wife and the gardener in front of him. So, I want that he can tell his part of the story in front of everyone here.
Okay, thanks. Defendant. Okay. Sí, eso lo pensamos.
Marica, tienes que hacer pasar que your son you'll be having public.
No!
Marica, tienes que pasar.
Okay.
So you're informing me instead
No,
of
I am asking you. Can we go ahead and do that?
edit it? You
Yeah.
have your laptops in here?
No, it's the phone. Because we got
Eso va a estar en los bloopers y los prometidos.
Tenemos como 20 minutos de blooper.
Como 7 minutos de bloopers.
Okay, next. Okay. So, responding to your request, please, Mr. Passport, to come here and tell us your part of the story.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, to summarize the events that happened that day, I was on about my regular duties. I was supposed to cut the grass and mow the lawn when I saw that Mr. Fogg was standing next to his wife with a knife on his hands. And next thing I knew, he was stabbing her all over her body and killing the gardener with no regret. It seemed like he was enjoying the moment. And it's just atrocious to me.
Thank you, Mr. Please, the representative of Mr. Phileas Fogg, give us your part of the story.
Okay, so I asked my client for the story, the complete story about what happened with Miss Aura, the gardener, and my client told me that not only told me, I want to first ask you a question. We already have
Okay.
shown.
You can't ask questions if...
Por eso es que porque se paró, es que tenía que quedarse ahí.
Ok, repitamos esa parte. Ok, siéntate. In answer of your please.
No, again.
Okay, again. In answer of your request, please, Mr. Passepartout, complete here and tell us your part of the story.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, to recall the events that happened that day, I was on my regular duties that Mr. Fogg commanded me to do. I was supposed to clean the garden and mow the lawn at 10 a.m. when I saw Mr. Fogg standing next to his wife with a knife. And next thing I knew, he started stabbing her all over her body. He seemed so vile. He was enjoying murdering her. I just can't believe that a man like him would kill his own wife.
Thank you, mister. Please, the representative of Mr. Fogg, do you want to ask any question?
Yes, please.
So,
So first, I would like to ask you a few questions. So we have already shown that my client, Mr. Phileas Fogg, loved a lot his wife because she was the love of his life. But I have a question. Do you have the evidences to show that my client have killed the way you told, like with knives, his wife in a rude way, and you have seen it? You have the proofs?
I have the proof. First of all,
No, I need you to show them.
Objection.
No, es que tiene objeción, yo las necesito ya. Dame.
The word for recollecting all the proofs is job from the police, not for my client.
No, es que yo sé que está diciendo que lo vio.
¿Compañeros están hablando?
Sí.
Ah, pues están ahí hablando con él.
claro.
Vale, es para-
Simplemente muestra una hoja que tenemos que repetir la parte que tú dices, objection, porque tú estás hablando español, así que repitamos. Porfa, párate, tú te sientas y te vas como a volver al puesto. Entonces, objection. Espérate.
No, pero
Ok.
nunca vamos a acabar.
Dale. Dale.
Lo repito todo.
Sí.
Okay. So you already said that all this court was to show that my client had killed his wife, yes? And we have already shown that my client really loved his wife, and there is no reason why he had to kill his wife. You have mentioned that you have seen that you have known that my client's wife had love with the gardener, and that's the reason why he killed her. But I don't understand why he will kill his wife if he have already.
¿Por qué no puedo repetir la pregunta ahorita?
Ya, es que eso es lo que voy a hacer después.
Entonces, ¿cuándo gastas?
Listen to me, subject verb agreement.
Sí, Alejandra.
¿Qué?
Solamente dile como tú sabes que la amaba, entonces qué
You know
pruebas
that's the doctor,
tienes.
so what?
Y yo objection.
Exacto.
Evidencia.
Again,
Si
please.
estás guiándolo a qué responder, tú dices objection,
Sí, yo decía objection.
leading.
No, pues,
Oigan,
Y
pues
cuando
vamos a ir.
dice objection, yo digo I sustain it.
Tú decides si la aceptas o si la...
Pero después de que la dice o cuando la dice.
Él te dice objection leading y tú decides.
Ok. Continue.
Si tú dices I will sustain it, ella tiene que reformular la pregunta.
Ok.
Y me deshidraté tanto que no tengo lágrimas.
Un Brit siempre tiene un pañuelo.
Sí, mira.
Un pañuelo, póngase una servilleta.
Oscar, límpiate con el billete.
No he escuchado tu free English.
Ay, siento que tú no has hecho el acento francés.
Oigan, pero volvemos a hacer todo porque
Pero no
no.
es así porque sería free English.
No, eso
No,
sería
ya,
italiano y
ya.
eso es grosero en italiano de ninguna persona que va a solicitar la nacionalidad.
Entonces, ¿cómo dices que eres bueno en francés?
Es italiano así.
Entonces, uno que es francés.
Nada, no haces en francés, los franceses son frívolos y aburridos. Pero sigue.
Siempre va a haber un rollo entre Brits y...
Ay, los franceses son todos
Yo sé por qué. Ok, again. Ay, no quiero. Listo, dale.
Okay, so first of all, I was saying that he really loved his wife, and there's no reason why he could have killed her. So I want you to tell me what would be the reason for my client that loved his wife to kill her. Because I haven't seen that evidence.
Well, first of all, I would like to remind you that he was really jealous.
¡Ya! No, que eso te sacamos de no puedo.
Porque cambian la pregunta cada rato, Aleja.
Solamente dile.
Yo soy un actor profesional.
Mira, Aleja, solamente dile como, you know, he loved his wife.
Yo le
but
quité
I
el
wanted
papel,
to last.
yo le
No,
quité el papel a queso de
evidence.
Lee.
Y yo volteo. Estás cambiando la pregunta cada rato.
Bueno, entonces solamente creemos la parte que tú haces la respuesta. Responde.
No quieres que empiece el chico.
Pero después, o sea, el barrio.
Ay, yo tengo como no decir todo, yo me la aprendí de memoria.
No, dale.
Sí, todo.
No, no, solo lo que yo acabo de decir.
3, 2, 1. Se va a volver una hueá pasa. Comienza.
Okay, so first, I'm here to defend my client. So I was going to ask you why, if my client really loved his wife and had no reasons to kill her, what would be the evidence to show that he did do it?
I'll sustain it.
Dear lawyer, it's not the work for my client to collect all the evidence necessary. It's work for the police.
Okay, but for demanding my client and trying to get him to jail, you need to put in front of him the evidence that he had killed his wife and show it also to me and to the judge for continuing with this court.
It's not the fault of my client that the British Police Department haven't give all the evidence.
Esto solo tenías que guardar la evidencia.
No tengo evidencia.
Bueno, sí, pero
Porque que esté firmado, porque es que eso es lo que tienes que mostrar.
Bueno.
Pero solo es como la autopsia, coloca autopsia así grande y lo muestras a la cámara. Y ya se lo muestras a Mónica y ella dice como.
yo subo la foto de eso. Pero repitamos la parte en la que tú. Es que cortemos eso y ya tú te sientas. O sea, yo hago un slash. Entonces.
Pero entonces no lo estaría defendiendo
Siéntate,
para nada.
siéntate.
Ya, te doy la carta.
Okay. After watching all this and all this evidence, please sit down, Mr. Passport.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want Mr. Phileas Fogg to come here and tell us what was he doing while this happened in the day.
So, hello to you all. So, that day, that afternoon, I was actually at the Reform Club playing whist with some friends, with really close friends that I hadn't seen in 10 years actually, because they were abroad, they were in Germany, fighting the war. And, well, they came here, and there was some troops who were just catching up, you know. And then I stayed there for a few drinks, of course. We kept talking and waited that afternoon and went shopping for gifts for my wife. I bought her a very, very expensive ring. It was like a 45 carat diamond. It cost me almost my fortune, of course. Not everything, but still, a lot of money. And, oh my God, I go home and I found her lying on the floor, bloody. I found her next to the gardener, and the Ambassador 2 came, and according to him, I killed them, but I didn't. I was just, as I was saying,
at the Reform Club and they went shopping to buy her ring. I didn't kill them. I wasn't home when that happened. Why are you accusing me of such atrocity? Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Do you want to ask any question to Mr. Hillesbaugh?
Of course. You mentioned you work with your friends that you haven't seen in 10 years. So, may I ask, where are the names of your friends?
Of course. So there is Mark Kent. You know who he is. He's from a very prestigious family back in the US. I was also with Charles Princeton. He is a very wealthy man. He's one of the best in one of the best businessmen I've ever worked with. I was also with Mark Zuckerberg. He is, well, you know him, he's very famous, he's a very famous actor, and he was married to, well, you know, I was just, not so sorry, Jesse's sister. And of course, my dear friend, Matteo Sturniolo.
Okay, Mr. That is all?
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. James. Yeah? Do you want to say something?
Yes, I want to ask.
Okay, you can ask questions to your
Well,
Also stay.
no, pues dijo que podía hacer preguntas, ¿no?
No,
No, porque es tu cliente, o sea,
Por
le estoy
eso
poniendo en
digo que
evidencia.
no, es que yo le pregunto para
Ah, ok,
entender.
ok,
Okay,
okay. Okay. Does anyone else want to ask something to Mr. Hillesbaugh? Yes, Mrs. Alejandra.
Thank you. So, Mr. Hillesbaugh, I was going to ask you, from when do you know Miss Aura?
I met her a few years ago, of course, when I and possibly two here present, we saved her from those preposterous Indians that were going to kill her. We saved her, and, well, I fell deeply in love with her after, you know, all the journey we had to accomplish to get to London.
What did her attract you? What attracted you from her?
objection. This question is irrelevant.
No, it's not.
Please
Sorry,
look at that
Mr.
way.
Order. It didn't say if I sustain it or I didn't. Continue.
Well, I loved her personality, you know. She was not very talkative, but she had great manners, you know. Also, I loved the way that she just was so loyal, you know. And you might say, Cord, that I was using her, I don't know. But no, I wasn't. I was deeply and madly in love with my wife. And yes, loyalty, her beauty, and just her way of being made me fall in love with her.
How did you react when you knew that Aura was cheating on you with the gardener?
I was broken. I was absolutely shattered. I felt so bad. I felt like I couldn't actually I was in shock. I couldn't believe what was happening. You know, because I thought I couldn't fulfill her, so she had to look in someone what she couldn't find in me. I felt so bad.
That's it? Okay, please, Mr. You can choose. I want to ask if one of each part have any evidence of the situation. Pictures, documents, etc.
Your Honor, we've got proof.
Get the documents from the outside.
Here, as you can see, there are pictures of my man over here, where he's murdering his wife.
Obviado es la autopsia.
¿Es una autopsia? Claro, te abrieron en el momento en el que estabas
Bueno, ya.
bailando.
No vamos a hacer
Again.
No digas nada.
Y además el que solo te tiene que parar, eres solo tú,
Sí, pues yo no sé por qué se paró.
¿Cierto? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay? Now that we know what happened exactly in the 2 parts, I want to ask you if you have any evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. My lawyer here has some evidence to show you.
Here, this is the document of the doctor. That shows that Miss Elba and the gardener have multiple stabs in the body. And may I ask, to Mr. Philip, my client said that he's sick. Sorry, how do you stab your wife and the gardener? So may I ask, do you are involved in that murder?
Sorry, mister, but you can't ask questions to Mr. Phileas if he is not seated in that chair. What I see in this is that yeah, she was stabbed. But I don't see any other evidence. I want to ask Mr. Phileas Fogg and Mrs. Alejandra if you have something, a proof, that it tells me the opposite. I need it to be clear and to show everything that happened.
So we were going to set this before, but we decided to do it after they say the accused with the client all this time. And so I here have a folder with some evidence that my client took some photos of
Porque él está en el Reform Club, entonces ¿cómo le iba a tomar las
no,
fotos?
pero
Sí.
o sea,
O sea, tienes que decir que consiguieron las fotos de las cámaras de seguridad.
no, que
Sí, porque él estaba en el
Pero no-
Reform Club, entonces dices, mi cliente tomó
no,
estas
porque
fotos.
es que no son las fotos de esto.
Por
¿verdad?
eso.
Pero es que eso no pasó cuando él las mató.
Entonces, ¿por qué está Buda para
Bueno, está bien, vamos a cambiar la historia.
Okay, again. Now, what I see, it's clear, yeah, she was stabbed. But I don't see anything specific of any evidence of who it was. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Alejandra or Mr. Phileas, do you have any pictures or evidence that may say the opposite of what happens in here?
Okay, so we have had this images since the friend of Mr. Fogg that works in for him took these photos from the cameras of the house where Miss Alda, Mr. Phileas Fogg, left. So, in these photos, we can see these photos were taken the day before of the accident. The accident of the tragic death of Mr.
No, Aleja, mejor que digas que fue ese día, porque si es el día anterior, yo te diría.
No, porque
me
Fogg
sirve.
lo encontró al día siguiente cuando llegó de Perform.
Ah, ok. Bueno, en fin, sígueme explicando.
¿Cómo se llama? La primera es que no le puedo decir
Gardener.
Mr. Gardener.
And the gardener.
No le puedo decir Mr. Gardener.
Entonces pongámosle
Permítale.
Mr. Fermín, the gardener.
So in these photos that were taken the day before, Mr. Phileas and found the body of Miss Auda and Mr. Garbinero.
Mr. Fermín. Continue.
Por el nombre que quieras, yo no importa.
Sí, el que se tenga en la cabeza.
Vamos a ponerle Oscar.
Ok, dale.
Please.
Pero carajo, sí,
Okay, next.
Okay. So, Miss, here I show you these images that were taken the day before Mr. Phileas Fogg found the bodies of his loved wife, Miss Auda and Mr. Oscar, in the gardener staying on the floor. Here you can see Mr. Passepartout staying around Miss Auda and the gardener. And you can see the face that he's putting, like, how is he facing that situation?
Yeah.
So, with these images, my client told me that Mr. Passepartout was not only trying to accuse my client, he was trying to cover the crime that he had committed. He was mad at my client, Mr. Phileas Fogg, because he loved Miss Auda. And that's why he accused him because of the death of Miss Auda. And in the photo, we can see that he was jealous also of the gardener, and mad at the gardener, Miss Auda, because they were cheating on Mrs. Fogg.
Okay, thanks. You can sit down.
And please, I want to ask my client to ask him some questions again. Yes.
Okay. So first, I need to analyze this book evidence, and then we can come. What I see in this picture is true. What you say is mad, but we don't know the reasons. Or so. Also, we don't know what he had on his hands. So we don't know if he had a knife. And you said this was before she was found, right? So, well, let me analyze it. First, I want Mr. Passport to come in here.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, now I want to ask you some questions. It's true that you were in love with Mrs. Auda?
That is completely untrue. You see, I respect my man's likes, and I already knew that he was in a loving and happy marriage. And I do admit that she was beautiful, but I would never fall in love with another man's wife. When I witnessed the moment, I saw that she was cheating on me, and I became enraged. I was just staring at the situation, and I was thinking of maybe I should tell my boss, because he has the total right to know. But then I found her murdered next morning.
I have a question for Mrs. Alejandra. Do you have the exact same hour where these pictures were taken?
Yes, in the camera, it shows the hour where it was because of the camera of the house. So here I can show you. Okay, look in here. Look here, the hour. You see?
Yeah,
And the day, the year.
7:16. Okay, now checking her case. She was found dead, well, when the police arrived, at 8:20. So it means that it was recent. The picture. Okay. Thanks. Now I want to ask if somebody wants to ask something to Mr. Passepartout. Sorry.
Okay, so Mr. Passepartout, you said you were not in love with Auda, yes?
Because I was not.
That's what you are saying.
Yes, and it's true.
So now here I have the proof. Is the photos that he had stamped a lot of photos of Miss Alda in his room. In his
That's yeah.
So how can a man has those photos based in all the walls of his room not been locked with the one with the
I want to ask, who took this photo?
Mr. Fogg asked to one of their Mr. Fogg asked to one of his friends that working in his house that for when he bought the house for Miss Auda to take photos of all their rooms for him to look if the house was good for him. And when the photos came, the room of Mr. Passepartout was this.
Okay, Mr. Passepartout. When you're watching in this picture, it's true or something?
Those pictures are there in my room, but they wouldn't put by me. They would put by Mr. Fogg.
Okay. I want to ask. So, if you needed that picture were in your room while you left them in your room and you didn't take them off.
I have something to.
Wait, what? Objection?
No, I have something to say. If you say my client put the photos in your room, how you can state that he had never visited your room? Never. Or neither one of the rooms of their one that work for you.
Ese es una cosa fue entre los dos.
No, pero no lo ha hecho. No le gustan a los cuartos de sirvientes.
Ahora pregunto. Al final, ¿quién va a ir a la cárcel?
Él tiene que ir.
Porque él es el pobre.
Ah, claro.
O sea, ¿vas a hacer un juicio injusto?
No, vamos a hacer un
Sí,
juicio
o sea, al final
realista.
yo les voy a decir que yo encuentro unas bolsas y que están las huellas de Mr. Fogg.
O sea, vamos a hacer un juicio injusto y luego vamos a decir no fue.
No, o sea, vamos a coger, o sea, yo ahorita digo que me llegaron.
Sí va a ser justo
de
porque sí va a
huellas.
haberlo hecho a él. Él sí lo va a haber hecho porque es que nosotros vamos a encontrar el cuchillo.
Pero es que, ¿qué tiene sentido?
Sí,
Tiene-
él
ay,
va a
es-
mandar al amigo que tomó las fotos, que es un investigador, y va a encontrar el cuchillo en el cuarto.
O sea que digamos, o sea que al final él es el que lo mata.
Sí, él es el que lo mata.
Ok, listo. Entonces, vuelve, entonces, cuando yo terminé de preguntarle,
Tú
no,
la matas.
tú te paras. Tú la matas.
Y tú estás enamorada de ella, pero es una obsesión.
Pero espera, ¿a quién dijo que no?
Porque tú me
está?
estás diciendo que
¿A quién le ha dicho pedofilia?
tú la comiste.
Porque
¿Ok?
marido,
¡Ey! Pedofilia es tener fotos de personas en tu cuarto.
Eso no es
Sin
pedofilia.
permiso.
Yo tengo fotos
Pero si
de
fuera menor de edad.
Pero las fotos.
Soy una pedófila. Tengo fotos de Mikey pegado por todo mi cuerpo.
Pero tú no está desnudo.
Pero marica,
Eso sí, no.
marica, pedofilia es cuando es menor de edad.
Mismo.
Porque es
Ok,
no,
bueno, ya. Can I tell something? So, if you're saying that Mr. Fogg put that images in your room, why you didn't take it off?
Because he firstly had hired some workers to paste them and like fit them in the walls.
Okay.
And the reason why he didn't take them off was because firstly he didn't have the time because he was too busy, and because he only had the capability of hiring those persons. So I couldn't have done that myself.
Okay, does anyone want to ask the last question to Mr. Passepartout?
I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
So, no me acuerdo que iba a preguntar.
Okay, otra vez.
Ah, yo ya me acordé.
No, pero espérate, digo. Does anybody want to ask the last question to Mr. Passepartout?
I want to ask, please. So, Mr.
Again. Does anybody want to ask a question to Mr. Passport 2? Nicholas. Go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Passport 2, you are accusing without fundaments my client because you are telling that he stamped the photos on the walls of your room. Yes? But my client never has entered to the service room. You can prove it by doing him ask questions about where are located the rooms, for who are. He didn't like to visit that poor spaces.
Question to like.
Sorry?
Question to like.
But
So, okay.
Again, siéntate pronto.
Question to the lawyer.
Go ahead.
So, Miss Alejandra, you mentioned that your client will never ever enter a servant rooms. So, how can no, otra vez. Ay, yo, la tiro nada, no se le tira por ahí.
Si esto sí es bueno, olvídalo, no, después yo te voy a quedar mal, no te preocupes.
Okay, next.
Question to the lawyer.
Go ahead.
So, Miss Alejandra, you mentioned that your client will never ever enter a servant room. So, I ask you, what if this murder was already anticipated? It was already a plan, and part of the plan was accusing Mr. Passepartout of murdering Alba and the gardener with the evidence that you will never ever enter a servant room.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
I want to reply, please.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I want to tell you that I have put more evidence that you have put in this case, so you cannot tell me that I haven't put no evidence to protect the things that I'm saying. I can say that all the things that I'm saying are correct, and I can prove it.
Okay.
I want to understand the reason.
You can't. You can't.
Now you can't?
You can't reply
you,
to the
Mario.
lawyer.
It's cool.
I'm sorry. Mr. Passport 2. Mr.
No.
Mr. Fidesco, please come to the table.
Yeah, you don't stay too far.
Sorry, I'm receiving a call. Can I take it?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No.
Please security accompany her. Now, Mr. Fidesco, is that true that you didn't paste the pictures of Mrs. Aruda in your room? Pausita. Ahorita yo les voy a preguntar como que si ustedes tienen alguna evidencia del caso como
¿Qué haces?
como Oscar, ahorita tú dices, yo tengo un análisis que hice sobre el cuchillo que mi amigo
No, marica, porque es que me están llamando para lo del cuchillo. o sea.
Ok, entonces eso, vale, otra vez, sí. Vale.
¿Qué me vas a preguntar?
Mr. Phyllis Fogg, how I can believe you that you didn't paste that pictures in Mr. Passport's room and you didn't enter the
Okay. So it's a really, really simple question to answer. As my lawyer said, my attorney, my best friend, she basically already said that I didn't like to go to those places in the house. I'm not trying to mark a difference between us people because I consider that we're all equal. But I do not like going to those places if I don't need to. And as much as he says that I entered to his room, I have never been there. And there are security cameras that prove so. I've never stepped a foot on the service area of my house.
Okay, now I need to ask. Do you have the video or the evidence that he has never entered there of the camera?
Yes, let me look
Go ahead.
But do you want to see like all the days? You can see
Well,
him put in the photos like if
Since what day he reported the pictures or you noticed the pictures?
the day of the photo. Like,
So I want to look at the week before, please.
okay.
Does anybody want to ask any question to Mr. Phileas Fogg? No? Nobody? You can take it. Mr. Passepartout.
No, I have to show you.
But necesito llamarlo para no olvidar. Go ahead, take it. Go ahead, take it. Mr. Passepartout.
Si continuamos ya, pues.
I need to ask you, since what day you saw the pictures in your room?
Well, I saw pictures that were being pasted a few months ago. A guy that
Exactly the day.
the exact date was June 28th of 1873.
Pero
Vea, pausa.
cámaras de seguridad. Tienes que decir 2018.
Dios mío, o sea, estuvo 3 años, 4 años sin.
Sí, perfecto.
4
No
años.
tenemos cámaras del video, Vin. Si estás
4
viendo,
años con las
¿estás
fotos.
viendo cómo está lo de la corte? ¿Estás viendo eso? ¿Te parece una corte?
No. Alejandra, o sea que estuvo 4 años con estas, pero fue hace 3 meses.
Ok, entonces tienes que decir que fue en diciembre del 2021. Ok, vengan. Ok, now. Mr. Passepartout. Okay. Since what day you pasted or you saw the images in your room?
Well, those pictures were pasted a few months ago. They were pasted on December of 2021. But they were not pasted by me, by a guy that was
Okay.
dressed similar to me.
Look at the video. This is the video of the day before. And if you want next view to have it.
Okay, so here we have December 17, 2021. We are looking at the entrance of Mr. Passepartout.
Yes.
There's no one. This is a quick resume of the day or the
Yes, it's a
week.
quick resume of the day. If you want to watch the days before, you can pass it.
Okay. Okay. Mister, I've seen these videos. And I don't think they've been modified. I don't think they've been modified. And no one enters into the room. So this may would be
Yeah, and I was the call I take minutes before was
Any evidence?
the personal investigator of Mr. Phileas Fogg, the one that found the photos, that has found the knife.
Okay, so we're going to do a
Sorry. And he had already finished the AEM. So they sent the
Now, we're going to go to commercial break. See you after. Ok, entonces aquí llega y tú dices como, entonces yo decía que preguntar.
Bueno, pero pásame el instante
Entonces,
porque yo puedo hacer
Seto,
más
tú preguntas que si el cuchillo, ¿cómo sabemos que el cuchillo no fue modificado? Achú. O sea, que el cuchillo no fue, o sea, las huellas, o sea, como no fue falsificado.
No, o sea, digo, ¿cómo puedo asegurar de que si es su amigo no fue modificado?
Que sí fue la prueba. Entonces, pues decimos que ahí están las huellas claramente de sangre y son las mismas, que son las de Passepartout.
Claro, en inglés.
Me pasas ¿ok? Listo.
Yo puedo ser jurado, luego que ahorita digamos jurado, ustedes que tienen que decir.
Pásame el instante.
Pues sí, yo digo ahorita que sí.
¿qué te pregunto?
Siéntate.
No, pero
Pregúntame, o sea, pregúntame sobre el investigador.
¿Qué? O sea, ahorita vas a llegar de mi
O sea, más cosas.
Si al final vamos a llamar a un experto, tú analizas la prueba y dices que es culpable, ¿vale? Listo.
No, analizas la prueba, no, la prueba ya está analizada.
Por eso ya está analizada, pues yo digo que vamos a llamar a un
No, o sea,
experto para que verifique que no esté
no, no,
Sí,
falsificada.
espérate,
No, no.
que ahorita Vamos a
Marita,
preguntar qué dice
dices,
la
tomamos otra pausa
del
para que el
servicio
jurado
especial,
decida,
del
luego
servicio.
de
Vale. Listo, espérense, listo. Regresamos. Ok, vamos a continuar en 3, 2, 1. Hi everybody and welcome to Lies and Tricks. ¿Cómo era?
Threesome.
Eso es ok. 3, 2, 1. Hi everybody and welcome again to Lies and Tricks. Today we had a case of backstabbing. Now we are continuing this session. Mr. Fidesz Fogg, lawyer Alejandra already told us that she had some proof of the day of the morning. So please, Ms. Alejandra, you can come. And Mr. Passport too. You can see.
Okay, so in this folder that my client's friend, a really good investigator sent us, the one that looked for the cameras. Here you can see the analysis of the knife that I already told that they found in Mr. Passepartout's room, and if you can say it as you want.
Okay, I want
Here
to
I
ask.
can prove that he is totally.
I want to ask if you have the ID of this person, like the one.
For that I can would like my client, Mr. Phileas Fogg, to answer some questions about the.
Claro. Ya tenemos almuerzo.
Sí, lo acabamos de ver.
Acabemos esto ya.
Ok, listo.
No, ya síganlo.
Pasen, no pasa nada.
No, esto ya se trató.
Tenemos como 20 minutos.
120 minutos.
97.
A mí me va bien editando.
Sí, respétalo.
Ok,
No, mi pregunta, soy analizando la evidencia, vamos a esperar la respuesta de eso.
No, pero es que yo quería decir, ya preguntando por
pero es que yo no, o sea, ya no podemos llamar a
No, solo es que tenía que te lo paso en el
Sí, y solo después
Vale,
te la pasas y dices, no hay con nada y después de jury decide.
vamos a esperar.
41.
Baile.
Bueno, otro.
Anyways.
Retomando.
Siéntate.
¿Qué? No, porque yo estoy aquí para. Okay, so can I pass my client to show you
No, solo de la evidencia.
Sí, ok.
Solo de la evidencia.
Thanks. No, no me pasa eso, ok. Can I have the ID of the person?
Yes. This.
Checking the ID and the information. Checking the ID and the information. We are going to give this. Okay, otra vez. May I have the ID of the person?
Yes, here you have it.
We are going to give this information to the jury to decide if Mr. Passepartout is guilty. Also, if his demand is accepted or not. Jury. Okay.
Pero tengo que decir más cosas.
Now, coming back from commercials, we're going to have Mr. Passepartout here to see if he is guilty or not, and if his demand is accepted or not. Mr. Passepartout, do you not Mr. Fogg because he was the one that killed Aura, right?
Yes, because I saw him.
All the evidence you presented that day are telling me that you are looking for the one who murdered. Siento que otra vez y una cosa hacer eso que Alejandro me pasa.
Todo me pasa.
Todo.
Tenemos otro porque esto no.
Sí, que ya se olvidó cómo
Vamos a pasar todo el video.
Ni tenemos como 20 minutos.
40.
30.
No, of video.
Of bloopers.
And about 40 to 50 minutes of bloopers.
Yes, I mean the magic of colors in the editing process.
Sí.
Ustedes confían en mí.
Ojo con eso que no es porque.
¿Qué aparece un artista?
No,
Ay, no más.
déjame pasar el esta que tengo que decir varias cosas.
No,
¡Que no!
No vas a decir que no.
Lunchtime.
Ay, es que no voy a
That's it.
You decide that I cannot stay here, so that is.
Yeah, don't worry.
Don't worry. Do you know what that means right now?
No, parce,
after-
don't worry, ahorita lo mismo.
You see?
We're going to have a little
No, mi espera, tú no te preocupes
Pero
que yo
mientras
tengo hambre.
ustedes estaban encontrados acá, allá estaba la dramación.
¿Qué pasó?
O cogieron un balón de voleibol sin permiso, estaba nuevo, le dieron pata, le pegaron al pecho, ese grupo freaked out, Ana se fue a hacer otras vainas, el chino quedó colado,
¡Oh! ¡Qué cosas!
una mal pensada.
Y por eso, bienvenido en el otro episodio de Mentiras y Traiciones.
You'll be
Los tenemos.
But you cannot say I gave you permission to stay here because that is allowed.
Okay, Miss, don't worry.
Alejandro hasta que se muere.
Yo también.
Okay, 3, 2. Okay, don't worry, no,
No, yo lo prendo. Igual yo no soy muy servible.
Okay, bueno, entonces Jerry, me pasas la esta. Okay, apúrate, deja correr.
El Yuri es el que dice nada.
Listo, 3, 2, 1. After analyzing the information, we already have the answer of the jury. Please, Mr. Pastor. Jury. So, Mr. Pastor, you were demanding Mr. Fogg because he was the one who killed Mrs. Owen. But, based on the evidence you gave them, it shows the opposite. Please, jury, can you please give consent?
After analyzing all the evidence, the jury have decided that Mr. Philip is innocent. But to the contrary, Mr. Passport 2 is guilty of killing Miss Auda and the gardener.
Okay. The order, the sentence of Mr. Passport 2 is going to be 3 years in jail.
3?
Okay,
¿Tres por matar?
Bueno, otra vez.
Caso
Ok.
que tienen que hacer otra corte para
Ajá,
No,
ok.
no, no, no.
Sí, de una vez acá porque...
Bueno, listo, entonces.
Okay, the sentence of this man, based on the evidence and the jury decision, is going to be 60 years in jail.
That's not true!
And then the case is closed.
How's this possible, man? No! I can't
Listo.
Vamos.
No, compañeros.
No, pues.